This Friday morning. Hope everyone is doing well for our weekly Oneg Shabbat. I have some very, very exciting news. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to plan it yet, but we hope in the very, very near future, pending test results by the surveillance test for all the residents, maybe even, our fingers are crossed, next week we'll have an in-person Oneg Shabbat like we have had for so many years here at Gurwin. It'll be a little bit different than usual. We're going to have it in the synagogue, the newly refurbished synagogue. We're going to have the Oneg Shabbat, which will give us enough room to social distance. And maybe we do things a little differently than before, but those details don't matter. What matters is that we hope and pray that very, very soon, as soon as possibly even next week, we'll have a live in-person Oneg Shabbat, and we'll finally all be able to be together, celebrating the coming of Shabbat together. And we'll do that on a weekly basis. It may take a few weeks to get everything in order. We may have to have multiple shifts, which, as you know, the synagogue is not as large as the Rainbow Room. But whatever the case may be, we're looking forward to trying to make it happen and trying to make it happen as soon as possible. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Ashoreis, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Ashoreis, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Asholom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Asholom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom, Malachei Asholom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom, Malachei Asholom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seizchem L'Shalom, Malachei Asholom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seizchem L'Shalom, Malachei Asholom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In this week's Torah portion, Parshat Korach, which is actually my parsha I got bar mitzvahed many, many years ago. So it's my birthday this week. I get a happy birthday for that. But in the parsha of Korach, we discussed the sad story of a person named Korach who basically rebelled against his own countrymen, rebelled against Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses the leader. And he didn't just rebel by leaving, he tried to start a revolution within. As you know, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, was the one who received the Torah. He was chosen by God to lead the Jewish people. Yet this fellow Korach, he felt, who again was actually a good leader and a great person on his own right, but he felt that there should be a new leader that should come right now. And he caused a rebellion with a few hundred people his following, demanding that the leadership change and that he becomes the leader. And the story is a sad story because, as we know, this is obviously not God's intention. It's not God's will to change the leadership from Moses. Only when God decrees that Moshe should die and Yeshua should take the Jews into the land of Israel, only then the leadership is changed. But right now in the desert, that's not part of the plan to change the leadership. Yet this fellow Korach, he's able to go ahead and convince a few hundred people to rebel and to start a fight within the Jewish people, demanding that the leadership be changed. And finally, Moses, in order to calm down the rebellion, he says simply, listen, I'm not God, but you're not God either. Let God decide who is right. and tomorrow this time God will give us a sign. And whoever the sign shows is the true leader, that will be the leader. And they wait till a day later, and a terrible, terrible calamity happens. The ground, earth opens up, and Korach and his followers are swallowed up in the earth, one of the greatest casualties in Jewish people at that time. A great miracle in some ways. The ground is opening up, but more than that, the miracle element of it, but the casualties that happen. And Moshe obviously is proven to be the true leader. And the lesson obviously we learn is that a person should not chase after honor for their own right. Moshe Rabbeinu, we know Moses was a very, very humble man. Yes, he was a great leader of the Jewish people, but he didn't care about his own position. He didn't care about his own greatness. He was just trying to do the right thing, and he did it in a very humble fashion. Korach, on the other hand, was all about the honor, all about the fame and the glory. So he demanded that he be the leader, even though logic certainly did not dictate that should be the case. He should have learned, and his followers should learn from the days of Egypt, from the Egyptians, that if God wants something to happen, he'll make it happen, and do not take the law into your own hand. This is a lesson we also have to internalize slightly, as well as we have to make sure we do things for the right reasons in life. Don't chase after honor, don't chase after glory, just be a good person because that's the right thing to do. Lecha dehodi lekras kala pnei Shabbos nekabela. Lecha dehodi lekras kala pnei Shabbos nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad. Heshmiyanu kelam yuchad. Hashem echad u'shmo echad. L'shem ozeveres v'lesila. Chadodi likras kala pnei Shabbos nekabela. Likras Shabbos chuven elcha ki hi mekar haviracha meirosh mikedem nesucha. Sov maaseh b'machshavat chila. Lechadodi likras kala pnei Shabbos nekabela. Likra Shabbos chuven elcha ki mekor habiracha meirosh mikedem nesucha. Sov maaseh b'machshavat chila. Lechadodi likras kala pnei Shabbos nekabela. Hayu l'mshisa shosayich v'rachako kol mevalayich yasis. La yechelo kayek ehem zois chasanau kala. Lecha dodi likras kala pnei Shabbos nekabela. Bawi b'shalom ateres bala gam berina uvetzahala. Tochem unei am segula. Bawi kala lecha dodi likras kala pnei Shabbos nekabela. One of the other lessons that we have in this week's parsha, in this week's Torah reading, is the idea of tithing, giving gifts to those who perform acts for you. And the two main tithes that are spoken about are the tithes that are given to the priests and the tithes that are given to the Levites. This term tithe, as we know in modern day English, is known as a donation to could be to an institution, a non-for-profit, a religious institution, a synagogue, a shul, or any other religious institution. Tithing, the language is called tithing. And the idea really is the following, that we have people in the Jewish world, at least priests, times of the temple, priests and Levites, that their job is to work for us. They do our sacrifices for us. They do the work that's mandated upon us. They have the upkeep of the temple. They clean the temple, make sure the temple is running smoothly. And they're not really getting paid for this job. How do they get paid? We give them a portion of the money that we earn. 10% of our earning, known as maaser. Tithing is a 10%. And the idea behind it is that we know that whatever money we make in life, we thank God for that. And we also appreciate what others do for us. And therefore, if everyone gives 10% of their belongings to the people, to the Levites and the priests doing the service in the temple for us, they'll be able to live as well. And this is an unbelievable lesson in terms of understanding what charity is, giving to others part of what you have, appreciating from God that if I have an ability to make a living, then I go and I give part of that to charity, because ultimately God only gives me money that should help myself, help my family, but also to help others. And that's the lesson that's learned at the end of the parsha. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'ez Nasa B'chefso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'yacharei Kechlos HaKol Levahado Yemlok Nora V'haya V'hoveh V'hu Yihye B'sifara V'hu Echad V'yein Sheni Lahamshila Le'achvira V'li Reishis V'li Sachlis V'lo Ha'od V'hamizra V'hu Keli V'chai Goali V'tzur Chavli V'yez Nasa V'hu Nisi Umanosli Minaz Kosi B'yom Ekra B'yahado Avkid Ruchi V'yez Ishan V'yahira V'yim Ruchi Geviyasi Ado Shem Li V'lo Ira. Everyone should have a happy and healthy Shabbat, a great weekend. We'll see everybody next week, hopefully in person.